Hello, everyone. I am here today with an amazing guest from England, Freyja. We met on TikTok. And thank you so much for coming on today. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people at home?
Hello there. My name's Freyja, and I'm from the wonderful place of England, Northern England to be exact. Yes, and it's night time here, so everything's very calm at the moment.
I absolutely want to visit England, like all the UK, so bad. I really want to move over there. Like, if I could get a
Yeah,
reason to move there, I would move there.
definitely. Yes, it'd be lovely to have you. In fact,
Thank
as
you.
community and our neighbours, there's a lot of pagans here, and there's a lot of witches in such a small little area. So it's as good
Nice.
as England.
Yeah, and I actually think of like England and the UK as more magical than over here in the US. Like where I'm at, it's really, really, really hard to find people that practice.
Yeah,
So I'm really a solo practitioner more out of I'm forced to be than, wanting to be. Like if I could find a coven, I want to do all that. I want a community. I want to be able to go and like once a week go do a ritual together or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. That would be
Yeah.
wonderful. And
Yeah.
there's more covens here than there is
Mhm.
over there.
Yep.
I think it's because of the nature of witchcraft. It was the recent witchcraft comes, from Alexander's, Gerald
Mhm.
Gardner, and over there it doesn't seem to have the same history really. It's more, I consider it more Native American over there really.
Yes. Yeah. And even then, I will just say this that like the Native American stuff is very oppressed.
Yeah.
Still, even now, it's still very oppressed. I don't know if you know this, there's still reservations.
Yes, yes.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. I am actually got my great grandmother is full Native American. I have to ask my grandma. My grandma doesn't remember. She's 95. So I'm gonna have to try to so it's my grandpa's mom is 100% Native American. I just don't know what tribe she's from.
Wow, wow.
So because of that, I feel very, very connected here, you
Yeah,
know? Um,
of the land.
yeah, with the land and everything like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Just have a quick slurp of my
Right.
juice.
I bet, like, if I did a DNA test, it would tell me what tribe it is too. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. I know for sure I have a lot of Irish because my grandmother is 100% Irish. And
Whoa.
then, yeah, on my dad's side, it's all over there. There's some Scottish, there's a lot of
Yeah.
English, there's Welsh, yeah, which is probably
Well,
why I'm so pulled to there, you know?
you're always drawn to the English people.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that
yeah.
sounds amazing. Absolutely. Yes.
Do you have any areas where you're at that you think are a little bit more magical than other areas? Like just the
Yeah,
energy and stuff?
absolutely. Because here, of course, we have the stone circles.
Mhm,
And we have things like Stonehenge, and
mhm,
there's lots of little stone circles all over the country, and you can sort of pinpoint where each one is and sort of travel round them, if
mhm,
you will. And each different stones have different energies because they're
mhm.
part of that particular area, aren't they?
Yeah.
So of course, any myths and legends or anything like that connected to different parts of England.
Mhm.
I mean, and of course, if we have the fairies here, yes,
Yep. Yes.
fairy lore and all about that. I mean, I don't know if you believe in fairies or
I
not, but
do. Yeah.
you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
good,
Yeah. Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
good, I am
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
And
I absolutely do.
we have so many tales and things like that. It's extraordinary. If you get a chance to look at the British culture of myths and
Mhm.
legends, please do so because it is fascinating.
I really need to. As obsessed I am with that area, I really need to look into the lore. I need to find out why I am so pulled to it, you know? I
Yeah,
know Stonehenge has a lot to do with it, but being American, like, I have very limited knowledge on, like,
yeah,
these smaller histories of stuff, you
yes.
know? I I will always watch something just be like, "Oh, it's so pretty." Not know why.
It's not all like that, by the
Yeah.
way.
Oh, no, I oh, and well, like Florida. So everybody always
Yeah,
thinks Florida is like this island oasis, right? And
there's
this is
some
me
fruit trees.
yeah, we're more like cement now than anything
Right.
else. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
during the summer and during the winter is tourist season here, right? And used to drive to work and I would sit in traffic. It would take me an hour to drive 20 minutes down the street. And I'm like, man, I wonder how disappointed people get when they're thinking that we're some tropical like area
yeah.
and really, really it's like the coastline. All like where I'm at, because I live in like the Tampa Bay, Orlando, that area. So all the tourist area, it's all like city, and then you have like Disney World, and then you have like the beaches. Yeah, we have gorgeous beaches here, and I'm really, really connected with water. So
So you're a bit of a mermaid, are you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Course, that's
yeah,
another fear that we encounter, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I actually think I have that disorder. I can't think of what it's called, where you can't be away from the ocean.
Yeah,
Because I've
the
never,
longing.
yeah, I've never lived away from the ocean. Ever. Yeah. When I lived in Kodiak, Alaska, which is super magical in itself
Yeah.
because it's all still nature. When I looked out my window the second time that we lived there, I could see the ocean.
Well,
Yeah. And then I have this story, spirit animals. One of my spirit animals is an orca. I had one of the Eskimo tribes that actually were in Kodiak had a painter and he gave me a painting of the orca and he said, "This is your spirit animal. Trust me about that."
yeah.
And I'm like, I believe it because I always loved orcas, you know? And then, so we lived there for 3 years and my son was born there. And then I never saw orcas in the wild there, right? So we came back when my son was 13 to live there again. And I was like, man, I really hope we get to see orcas. I got to see them. Like, they came right up to my life was made seeing them.
Wow. Wow, that
Yep,
sounds
yep,
amazing.
it is. You
Absolutely amazing.
And you can communicate with them too because of telepathy. So if you're good with like telepathy and stuff like that, they'll come. Like, they will come. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How gorgeous. Can you
So
understand me okay with my accent?
I can. I can.
Good
I
stuff.
know it's so funny because I don't think I have an accent, and
Yeah.
everybody that's like in other countries, they're like, "Yes, you do." And
Yeah,
then
you
I'm like, what accent do I have? Because yes, I grew up in Florida, so technically
can.
it's
Yeah.
South, but where I'm at in Florida is New Yorkish, if that makes sense.
Yes, I'm more town, more
Yeah,
city vibe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and northern accents have a different draw than southern accents too. So like if I go into more southern states, I don't have that same accent.
More
But then if I go in northern states, I don't have that accent
cold.
either. Yeah, so I'm like I guess Florida has its own state, but I do know that I do sound more southern than because of it being in southern. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm sort of a mixture because we have different, kind of like borders. So we have like
Mhm.
Lancashire, Yorkshire,
Mhm.
Shire,
Mhm.
and it
Mhm.
all derives from, like
Mhm.
the hobbits in the shires.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's so
all
cool.
very land-wide kind of thing.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. And it's so funny because you don't think like you have different accents. Like in the US, we know we do, but we don't think other countries have like different accents within their own country. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, of course it is. They're different areas. So it's going to be the same as being in different states,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
That's how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Uh,
But
so fairies. You work a lot with fairies?
I used to work a hell of a lot with the fae, and not just on the spiritual realm, in the
Mm-hmm,
physical world as well. Because I used to do the cosplay, the wonderful
mm-hmm,
fairy cosplay,
mm-hmm,
and that's how I got well known in England. And I used to go from different town to different town doing
mm-hmm.
arts and crafts and cosplay, and of course the fire eating and the fire
Yeah.
breathing and all that kind of good
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
That's I watched all your old stuff. You miss that, don't you? Because you just glow when you're talking about
Yeah.
like, I know people can't see you talking about, but you're just absolutely glowing. What got you into the fire eating?
Well, it was, how long ago was it? That was about 20 years ago. About 20 years ago, and it's when I first saw a fire fairy.
Mm. Whoa.
And I used to be a staff nurse, so I had a very
Mhm.
mundane, very responsible job, you know. And
Mhm.
I'm coming home from work, I'm driving along, and I came up to where there's what we call Humpback Bridge, a little bridge in the
Mhm.
road. So I went up
Mhm.
onto the bridge, and just there on the sidewalk was this
Mhm.
little being made completely of flames. And he was just chumping along, just, walking along big stride. And I had to stop the car and I looked and he was still there in my rear view mirror. I
Mhm.
could still see this on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, I couldn't comprehend what I saw.
Mhm.
So I went back home and I did a search for paganism and,
Mhm.
spiritual things. And they said, yeah, it was actually a fire fair.
Interesting.
Yes. So that's sort of like that sort of caught me onto that. And
Mhm.
then I found out that we used to go to different places where we do fancy dress. Sometimes we
Mhm.
used to wear robes and,
Mhm.
that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
And I really sort of connected with the fae, with the realms of the fae.
Mhm.
And when I dressed up as a fae, little children would follow me all
Aw,
over.
that's so cute.
Look at me, and there'd be loads of little children all lined up behind me.
That's so cute. That's because they know. Because little kids love fairies and they love the mystical, you know?
Yes. So yeah, look behind me, there's all these children. So I thought, well, why not make a living out of it?
Mhm.
So that's what I did. I did that for 15 years. I made a living out of dressing up as a fairy and looking after children and
Yeah.
eating fire and doing circus performance and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was the fae have very much been a big part of my life on a physical realm as well as a spiritual realm. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. And I can tell you absolutely adore them too.
Yes.
And like connections like that are so amazing. One of my partners, Crystal, that I do my weekly with on Saturdays, she's very connected to dragons. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
she fiery? Has she got a fire?
She is, and she also says she feels like she's an ice dragon too. But oh yeah, she's definitely
Oh,
really yeah. She's very
well, we
fiery.
agree with that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We're really good friends, and we actually are in face group books together. She started a pen pal group called the Witches Owl Exchange, which is where we still handwrite letters all over the world.
How
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. And then we have a smaller educational group called Unseen Witches Society, and yeah, so
Sounds
I
close combination.
it is because you have to be in the bigger pen pal group for X
Yeah.
amount of months. You have to be active, and then in the unseen, like if you ever listen to it, you'll hear us talking about it all the time. So I'm just kind of explaining it. There's only 80 of us in there, so there's 13 of us that are crones that teach different magical stuff, and then we have the rest of the girls. But yeah, definitely, there's been moments where I see her fire dragon. And I'm like, there's that's why they call you that.
Absolutely.
And she's also very, very pulled to, like, Avalon. We actually which is
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you seen The Mists of Avalon?
I have not. I
You
need to.
need to watch that. Watch that. And it talks about obviously Avalon, which is what we call down south here. It's Glastonbury. And
Okay.
it talks all about Glastonbury and the
Mhm.
magical side of Glastonbury and giving your life to be a priestess. And you find that a lot, like we not only have witches, we have druids
Yeah.
as well,
Yep.
which I think is kind of just organic to the British Isles,
Mhm.
which usually is blokes with beards, long
Yeah.
beards, white
Yep.
robe,
Yeah.
and they like trees.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually handfasted to a druid.
Oh, really? That's nice. That's so amazing. Oh,
Or
and
a
hand fasting.
druid.
Yeah. That's my dream, to find, like, a guy to be hand-fasted to.
Yeah. Oh, you should. On my TikTok, it shows all my hand fasting pictures. You need to have a look
I'll
because they're
have to look at that.
very nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look at
It
that.
was just a simple ceremony, but all Coven girls were there and everything. Were all
Yeah,
robed up, and it
yeah.
was really nice. And we jump over brooms.
Really? I love that. Yeah, I love that. Like, I love, like, the spiritual part of it. Like, I feel like, I'm weird about actual love spells because
Um,
you
yes,
know what I'm saying?
yes.
But when you find that, like, one person, I'm
Mm,
all for about binding your
yeah,
souls in, like, a beautiful way so that in the next lifetime you can
yeah,
find them, you know?
absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
But because we wrote our own vows, I said, death does not part, only lack love. Which, if you don't love them anymore, that means it's the end.
yeah.
So death does not part us, not at all.
No, definitely. Well, next lifetime, you'll be able to find each
I
other.
will. I will, me
Yep.
and Harry.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I love that. And writing your own vows too, that's magic in itself. You know, like people don't realize how much we do in just a normal day is magic. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everything that you do, you can make it magic.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
good way
Yeah.
to live. It's a good way to live
It is.
positively as well.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
always have the threefold law that whatever you do comes back to you times three.
Mhm.
So if you just give us good energies and good vibes, it's going to come back threefold. So you get more and you end up like, be happy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like I'll wake up in the morning and like while I'm making my tea because I don't like coffee really. I drink coffee if I cannot function. Making
Yeah,
my tea is a ritual. When I used to work, we were in a store that was a little bit lower like volume. So I
yeah,
would bring in the cinnamon, blow the cinnamon in. I would like, yeah, yeah. We lost like half of our staff, which is just the way retail goes, right? And I kid you not, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of working like 80 hours a week. You know, they're yelling at us saying that you can't close the store, but you can't go into overtime, which made it such like a debt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like, well, what are we supposed to do? So I was driving to work and I'm like, I want to find two girls started this, and this. That day, my boss, because she ran 2 stores, was upstairs in my store. I was an assistant manager, but I mainly ran the top store, and she and I happened to be there. I can't remember if she actually worked that day, probably, because it really was just, like, me and her working, and, like, some of the girls from downstairs would come upstairs,
Yeah,
and we were just talking, and this girl came in. Like, we had an interview, that's what it is. We had an interview, so she had come upstairs to prepare for the interview for upstairs. But then another girl walked in, and I tell you, when both girls were exactly what I said I wanted
yeah,
while I was driving to work. Like, I'm tired of this, just I need these
yes,
girls.
yes.
So
Absolutely.
they came in, we hired both of them on the spot. Me
Yeah,
and my boss looked at each other and we were like, we just fully
yeah,
staffed the store in 15 minutes. We had goosebumps. I was like, I manifested that. Like,
cosmic
yeah,
ordering, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Ordering. Absolutely. Sorry, there's something on my monitor.
yeah. Don't worry. But yeah, you can manifest anywhere from that. It's
Absolutely.
all about intentions. And I always heard like the universe can't tell the difference between good and bad energy. So
It's
like if
just
you're
energy.
It's just energy, so if you're putting
It's
out a
what,
lot of bad energy, the universe thinks you like it.
yes,
So that's why you feel like you have such bad luck because you keep
yeah,
putting that out. So, yeah,
absolutely. You got it. You got it, girl.
yeah, yeah. So it's like, don't be like negative, be
Yeah,
positive. I actually got into a car accident, which kind of rolled a chain of events where I lost that job for the good because I really messed up. I was at fault, so I rear-ended the car, even though I had plenty of room. I think he short stopped, but you in Florida,
yeah,
if you hit the back end, it's your fault no matter what. And it really, really messed up my back and my hip. So I wouldn't have been able, even if I went on leave,
yeah,
I would have needed more time. Like even now, I don't think I could stand longer than a 4-hour shift, so
It's similar to myself.
Mhm,
Obviously, when COVID hit,
mhm,
all my self-employed Freya Fairy when came to a halt.
yeah,
I went back to nursing,
mhm,
and after the COVID had hit, I mean, I did the whole masks and lots of
yeah,
pinafores and all the rest of it, big breathing apparatus. I did
yeah,
all that, and it was actually after that COVID, the main strike of COVID,
mhm,
and I went to work in a special needs children's school,
mhm,
and looking after the medical needs and all that kind of thing.
mhm,
And I got COVID off one of the little children,
yeah,
so it did a massive number on me, and
mhm,
as a result of that, it was just one thing on top of another thing,
mhm,
and I've had to stop work completely.
yeah,
I don't do Freya Fairy anymore either because my hip and my back and
yeah,
developed osteoporosis,
mhm.
as well as the breathing difficulties from when I used to breathe fire as a fire breathing fairy.
Yeah. You're like, "I loved it, but it was not good for my
It
lungs."
was not good for your lungs, girl.
You're like, "Well, what it was something you enjoyed," so it's like, well, it
Yeah, like that was one of those things, you know, that
yeah.
happens. And
Yeah,
I'm 47 now, so I've had a
yeah,
long time doing it.
yeah, yeah,
I'll be 50 soon.
yeah. Right, right. I work with resin, and I don't wear, like, the apparatus that you're supposed to because I feel like I can't see, so I'm
Yeah.
sure that I have, like, lung cancer coming or
Oh,
something, but you know what? It's worth it for the beautiful things that I make. Like, I made a really pretty triple moon goddess, like, tea light holder.
oh,
Yeah,
look.
I need to get back into that. Now that I'm not
Yeah.
working, I just look at it as what happened is the universe saying, well, that part of your life's done. There's a new part. Yeah, there's a new part. So now I have the podcast. I do the teaching and unseen. Like, I always wanted to teach magical stuff, but I never knew how to do it. And I tell you, I had a dream a year ago because, like, 2023 and 2024 were, like, really hard for me. But sometime right before I joined the pen pal group, which is almost a year, I think in 2 months it'll
Yeah.
be a year, I had a dream that I was on my phone and, like, Facebook Messenger talking to, like, a group of girls. And then I joined the group, and then I, was like, "Ooh, I wanna be a moderator for, like, the letter exchange." And
Mm,
then I was like, "Ooh, I wanna be a crone." I'm like, "That's exactly what it is." And then I
mhm.
realized the dream that I had was about that. I was like, "I literally had a dream about you."
There's that cosmic ordering once again. Bang,
Yeah,
bang, bang.
yeah, 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 because
Funny how it all works out in the end.
yeah, yeah, all those girls are actually gonna come onto the podcast as well.
Once.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about my car accident is I had decided I wanted to start a podcast, but I was, like, really, really stressing the day that I got in the car accident about how I was going to do my dream and work at the same time. So I feel like the universe is like, "Here we go. Let's just take one thing out." And honestly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and, like, it broke me, like, my body, but my car, for as fast as I think I was going, because I was switching lanes, even though, like I said, I had enough room, I just think the traffic stopped quicker than I realized because I was in that mid-switch. I didn't brake, so I hit so hard. For as hard as I hit, my car is fine. Like, I was able to drive my car from the scene. It's got some, like, cosmetic stuff, like, my body took
Wow.
all of it, like, it yeah. Yeah, and I think the only reason why my hip got messed up is because that's where the seatbelt is. Like, I
Uh,
didn't like, my car I have a Honda Civic, so my car has saved my life, like, you know what I'm saying?
wow.
But then the car itself did not damage much. There's, like, the little bit of the grill, because that's all plastic, so, like, the little plastic parts broke, but that's it. It's, like, less than $2,000 in damage.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, and I swear I was going like 45 miles per hour, so my airbag should have come out. For the metal part should have been all crinkled, It's literally all I have to do is get a new bumper and grill, and it's good as new. So,
Really?
like, something was watching after me because
That's good.
I've seen 45 mile per hour, one car being dead stop, and the other car wasn't damaged either. So it's not like the other car absorbed it. It just the
Yeah.
energy went somewhere. And I'm walking. I mean, I hurt, but I'm not paralyzed either. So it's like the car did what it was supposed to do, because when you get
Yeah.
in a car accident, you get hurt. But yeah, I've seen 45 mile per hour accidents like that where the cars are totaled. Yeah,
Somebody or something was watching out for you that day.
definitely. Definitely. And they're like, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
So close, so close.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. The car behind me could have hit me because it was a
Right?
surprise. Like, so many things could have happened. And it was just enough to make it so I had to quit my job. And that was just me being responsible because I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be back because the first like month, I could not stand and sit. Not what you need to do to work.
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
I was like, let me go so that you can put somebody else in instead of holding on to a position for me and me not knowing when I'm gonna come back, which would probably end up being like, you have to let me go anyways. Yeah.
I was in a similar situation with the,
Mhm.
the special needs school.
Mhm.
They offered me a full-time job and on my hip started to fall to pieces and
Yeah.
you know. Well, yeah, to be quite honest with you, I was very depressed and very unhappy when it
Mhm.
when it happened, and I felt very useless.
Mhm.
And so I started to learn new things, and that's how I learned to do the handpan. I've
Yeah.
only been playing the handpan for I think about 7 months,
Yeah.
and it has a really big response, and people love it. They love the sound of it. Have you heard it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's been
Do you
very,
post do you post it on your TikTok
yeah,
too? Or
yeah,
why don't you go ahead and tell everybody your TikTok because I'll share the link too. That way they know how to find you on there.
yes. My name is Freya's Fairy Tale Art, and Freya is spelled with a J, so it's YJA. So it's a little bit different, but it's more Germanic spelling. So yeah, so if you put that into Google, my socials should come up, my TikTok will come up, my websites will come up, and what else is there? Oh, and there's things like Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter, and um, YouTube. YouTube, big shout out YouTube, and of course TikTok. TikTok I'm doing remarkably well with, considering it's had its difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because that's how we met, and we were
Yeah,
planning on our podcast, and we're like, because being in the US, we had that 12-hour ban.
yeah,
I was like, "Here's my Instagram so that in case it does happen."
mm,
And I think we were actually
yeah,
talking as it happened.
yeah,
Like, it just suddenly TikTok just went dark on me, and I was like,
it's a
because
good
it takes
shout, isn't it? It's a good shout.
yeah. Oh yeah, because TikTok's my main audience for like sharing little clips and stuff. That's my biggest social media.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do?
because I mean, Twitter as well. 32,000 on Twitter,
Oh
and of
nice.
course it's X now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's X now.
And
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of people communicating with me, or
Hmm.
it's just single males that want to show bits of their appendage to me.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah, they send that to the wrong witch. They may never be able to send pictures again. Like be very careful who you send pictures to. I get
Right.
that too. I
Awful.
get Yeah, yeah, right. I get people that message me from wherever. I mean, I'm sure they're just like scammers and like they're like, I love you. And I was like, does that work? Like,
Right.
does it work?
I don't know
Like,
why they keep saying it, because it doesn't work.
no, no, no. It's like you talk to them like 5 minutes and they're like, I love you. And I'm like, are you trying to immigrate here?
Oh, yeah.
Why? What's going on?
Well, at least you get that. I get hi,
Hey,
appendage.
me too. Yep, yep. And I'm like, actually, on my Facebook, like my personal Facebooks, it says, "I do not consent to those type of pictures, so don't send them to me."
Why did you think that will work?
I don't. That's why I always laugh at the TikToks of where it's like, when it's girls and they're being like, this is
Yeah,
what guys think happen when they send eggplant pictures, right?
yeah.
And then you have, this is what really happens, and it's like the girl laughing and like showing all her
Just doing a
friends, and
prop.
everybody's laughing, and you're like, what? Or it's like one of those looks, and it's like, so please, if you're a guy listening, don't just send those because it's never appreciated.
Don't do it. Just don't do it,
Don't,
guys.
yeah, please don't. Yeah.
It's fun.
Like I have just business stuff.
Yes.
So I'm like, this is a business team page. You are targeting to our marketing team.
Well,
Please don't do that.
well,
Like,
I used to get it on my pages when I was the
mhm,
performance artist,
mhm,
Freya Berry.
mhm.
And of course, I was entertainer. So
Yeah,
why?
yeah,
Why do they need to do that?
yeah. I don't
That's
know.
one of those.
I don't know. I don't. I'm so glad it's not just me because I'm like, I was like, on my, like, especially like on my Instagram, I think there's like one or two pictures of me on the business page just because I
Yeah,
was introducing myself. The rest are all like what you see on my business TikTok.
yeah,
It's
well,
all just, clips of the podcast.
yeah.
So I'm like, how do you even know who you're talking to?
I show my husband.
Right? Right. You're like, look, honey. Yeah. Well, I hope that's a clip. Like, my software will pick clips to be like, please do not send appendix pictures. Yeah, yeah. I think so many women just felt this with their souls too.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to bring it up because, of course, social media,
Yeah,
can pick pictures.
yeah, yeah. Like,
It goes hand in
okay.
literally.
Yeah, it really does. Unfortunately, it does, It'll be like, next time I'll be like, oh, thank you for that. I needed a picture of this for my next spell.
Yeah.
And just leave it like that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway,
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 your artwork, you have some stuff coming up. Do you want to talk about that?
yes, please. I have an online exhibit. Well, it's not only just online, it's
Mhm,
online and at the local place here.
mhm,
It's actually going to be held in the Bronte sisters' old schoolroom. Now, the Bronte sisters are very prevalent where I am because, of course, it's called Bronte country, isn't it? Are you
mhm.
aware of Wuthering Heights
Yes.
and all that? This
Yeah.
is where that came from.
Okay.
So the schoolroom is where children went when they were little, and one of the sisters actually taught in that same room. And it's
Nice.
across the way from the Bronte Parsonage Museum. And the Bronte Parsonage Museum is all about the Brontes. It's like a museum that you walk around, and it's quite interactive. So obviously I'm trying to work hand in hand with that. But
Mhm.
also what I've done is I've gone round the local historical sites and I've made little fairy houses of the historical sites. So
Oh.
you've got Bronte Parsonage Museum,
Mhm,
which of course is where the Brontes lived and worked and everything else, and where they wrote Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre.
mhm.
And also as well, I've made little sculptures of the art exhibition type things that are around here. So I've made a great big, like a UFO thing that is been built with concrete,
Mhm.
the actual thing, but obviously I've made it very small.
Yeah.
And of course,
Mhm.
Wuthering Heights itself is a ruin. Do you know what a ruin is?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's kind of sad, but yeah.
I sound quite Scottish when I say that. a ruin.
That's kinda
Oh,
sad, but
yes.
yeah.
So it's a ruin
Mhm,
where they based the Wuthering Heights story from, but I've made it
mhm.
tiny. And I've done little
Okay.
tiny ghosts and things wandering around. And of course, I've done little gravestones with Kathy and Heathcliff hide it to the
Love it,
local area as well. And
love
also
it.
as well, we're very known for our fairies around the Cottingley area.
Mhm.
Films like A Fairy Tale from Cottingley that was 4 miles down the road.
Ooh,
So we've got the links with that as well. So I'm going to do a little Cottingley fairy garden, maybe a few trees where the woods are, that kind of thing. Also, as well, I've got a lot more structures to be done,
mhm.
and I'm halfway through another ruin, which has the headless horseman ghost
Ooh,
right through it at 1 a.m.
well, I love that. I forgot all that's over there, like,
Yeah,
the Sleepy
yeah.
Hollow and stuff like that too.
Sleepy Hollow. It's just like
Yeah,
Sleepy Hollow.
yep,
Absolutely, yes.
I
So
love
I've
that.
made it small. I've made it small for little fairies. And I've put a couple of little ghosts in there as well. So yeah, and then
I love that.
I've done fairy shops and fairy villages and under the sea things and
Mhm.
pirates and circus things and fairy things and elf things, and it's going to be so magical. So
I love
please,
that.
everybody
Definitely.
tune in because it's going to be great.
I love that, and then I'm gonna fly over there and then try to figure out how to bring stuff home or just stay there. So, I found out that I can go over there for 6 months.
Oh, yes, you
Yeah.
can. Yes,
Yep.
you.
And I'm like, I may need that because of all the stuff that I want to go.
Oh,
Because
you must come and visit me. You
I
must.
will,
And
definitely.
yes, and do the Bronte walks and the
Mhm.
ghost walk and
Yeah,
all that kind of thing. It's very eerie, very spooky.
yeah.
The mists roll in the moors. It's very woo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was looking at they did a Haunted London thing, and, like, they were like, "It takes, like, 2.5 weeks to do this." And I'm like, "I am gonna need 6 months,
You
and I
are?
don't think that's even gonna be enough. I'm gonna have to do, like, 6 months in each country." You know? So I'll go, do everything in, like, England,
Yeah.
come home, go, do everything in Scotland, come home, do everything in Wales, and then in Ireland, which is its own thing, go
Yeah,
do
it
that
is.
too, you know?
And of course, all the islands and that are attached
Yeah,
to England, they've all
yeah,
got their own fairy lore.
yeah,
So you've got lots of sea
mhm,
creatures, lots of mystical animals and mystical things that come out at the night. It's very
yeah,
spooky. Of
yeah. Do you believe in past lives?
course, yes.
Okay, okay, because this is gonna lead up to this. I think one of my past lives was in Tudor England because I am obsessed with that period of time, which is such a bad time to be obsessed with. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And I have like Amber Lynn and Catherine Howard. I don't know if it's because I know their histories or if I was somehow connected to them because they were all cousins.
yeah, they were, yeah.
No, I don't know if it's because of how they died or what.
Mm,
But like I am like obsessed with like trying to learn everything you can about them. And so one of the things I wanna do is I wanna do, like, the Tower of London and Hampton Court and see if you
yeah,
can actually see their in Heather Castle, see if you can see the spirits. Because
yeah.
they say at Heather Castle, you can see Anne Boleyn and her dad, like, her dad's,
Animal,
like, coaching a carriage, and he's headless. Like, I'm
yeah.
like, "Why is he headless?" And you know? I'm like, "What maybe it's, like, karma because his
It's,
daughter,
yeah, yeah,
you know?"
absolutely. Absolutely. It's like the head
Yeah.
horseman that appears round this way,
Yeah.
and I don't know why he's headless.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Because we know her dad didn't lose his head. I
Yeah,
mean, if it was, like, her brother, that would make sense, but they're like, it's her father. So maybe it was his punishment
in the end,
because of what happened to 2 of his children, you know? But yeah, I'm good, like, I have to do that, and I'm like, I'm hoping I could see the ghosts because I do have that
Oh,
mediumship, so, like, if there are really ghosts there, I would see them. And I feel like because I've been to Salem, Massachusetts, so I feel
love
like
you.
going yeah. Oh, yeah. I will tell you the experience there. Yep, yep. So, I
Yeah.
feel like I'll go to, like, the Tower of London and to these different places, and I'll feel that heaviness because
Yeah,
of what happened
it
there,
is
you know?
heavy, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I went to Salem twice. The first time I went, I was only, like, 12, 13, so I wasn't really fully into my senses yet. But
Yeah,
then my family's from Massachusetts, like, my grandma and my grandpa and stuff like that, which I said before, like, the
yeah,
Boston. When I was growing up, I didn't know that Boston and Massachusetts were the same thing. Because my grandma would always be like, "I'm going to Boston." So every time I've gone to Massachusetts, I always have to go to Salem. Well, I went for my senior year. My graduation gift was because I did really good in school. So my graduation gift was
yeah,
wherever I wanted to go, we'll buy you plane tickets. So it's like I want to go to Massachusetts. So
yeah.
we went to Massachusetts, and of course I had to go to Salem. I think that's just one of those things that if you have any type of spiritual anything, you're like drawn there, you know? Because the people that died in Salem weren't the witches. The ones doing the accusing were the witches, if that makes sense.
Well, I don't know because
Yeah,
I do think a lot of these
yeah,
women, they were, their lives were taken for things
mhm,
that were just normal. So things like
yep,
helping women give birth, being a
yeah,
midwife, helping people with
yeah,
lotion potions and, you
yep,
know, and the, for that is why the
yeah,
snakes, and
yeah,
it's amazing to think that people could think like that.
yeah. Well, what happened was like the actual main panic, okay? There
Well,
were girls that were in the woods literally doing witchcraft, okay? They're the ones that got caught. And because they were children, they got so scared. So it,
well,
yeah.
look at
So
you.
they were children.
No,
They were 12, 13, which I feel like that's how old I was when I started, like, really getting into it
yeah,
too. But back then, with how the religion was, so that's why I always say that the actual witches didn't get punished. Like, I'm sure there
yeah,
was some, but it got to the point that it wasn't just the people that, like, taught the girls how to do the stuff they got caught doing. Like,
yeah.
if there was a feud or something like that, they would accuse the person. Like, I know for a fact Rebecca Nurse was very pious, and she got
Yeah,
hung. Yeah. And so you can feel that, like, you can feel a lot of the well, it was all unjustified, but the
yeah,
death there, it's very heavy at first.
persecution.
Yeah, the persecution and the unjustified death, basically murders, is mass murder, you know?
Really.
So even now, that energy is still there. Even though now that city
Yeah,
embraces that, like they call themselves the witch capital of the world,
yeah,
but it's based on such tragedy that it's still a very heavy feeling. It goes
absolutely.
away. I actually, if I ever got married again, I want to get married in Salem, not on Halloween because it'd be probably impossible to do it because I'm sure everybody's doing it, but sometime in the fall.
Beltane.
Yeah,
Got the Beltane season. That would be
yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
The, the Lord and the Lady.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you can actually get married in the woods there. Like you can get married without a permit almost anywhere. I think the only place that you need a permit is like their actual parks.
Yeah,
So like you could get married in the woods. But have you heard of the House of Seven Gables?
I've
It
heard of it, but I don't know
yeah,
about it.
yeah. So it's Nathaniel Hawthorne is the author.
Right.
That house is actually there. So, like, that's where I'd wanna go, or there's a hotel that is haunted, okay? But let me
Okay.
tell you the paranormal experience. Well, it used to be an apple orchard. The haunting is smelling apple pie cooking. I was like, I would be so mad if I
Like
go there for, like, a reception and
it's
not smell that. Yep.
for audio and play
Yeah,
sensory and
yeah,
smells and textures, tastes. Absolutely.
yeah.
But we have here the case of Pendle witches.
Yes.
Have you heard of it?
I have,
That
yeah.
is very near also.
Is it?
We're sort of in the shadow of Pendle Witch, Pendle
Okay.
Hill here. So a lot of Pendle witches and all that kind of thing happened here.
Mhm,
We have just about 2 minutes outside of my door is a
mhm.
triangle where they had a ducking stool and they
Oh.
was ducking the woman that they thought was a witch
Mhm.
there, and there was a lot of persecution, have you seen them days?
Yeah.
Also, as well, at the top of the hill, we have a St. Michael's Church. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know if you know anything about St. Michael in the UK, where
Mm-mm.
our sacred sites and, standing stones and things like that,
Mhm.
when we were taken over by the church, they
Mhm.
would knock the standing stones down and they would build a church directly either on
Over.
it, very, very near. And they would use it as a St. Michael's because St. Michael is the
Mhm.
protector. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there was
Interest
protecting away from all these horrible witches that,
Yeah.
that put a love spell on you or something.
Right? The last thing and the funny thing is, though, is a lot of the holidays are taken from
Absolutely.
paganism, herbalism, just
Yeah.
in general, 'cause,
Yeah.
this is
Excellent.
a very popular alternative medicine is herbalism. We
And
use that all the time.
things like aromatherapy where you've got your
Yep,
different smells. And of
yep,
course, people would they go out and they'd harvest jewelberries and things like that.
mhm,
And they'd use the smell in the different lotions and potions
yep,
and pick up off that. So that has been around a very long time, even before the modern day wicca that is, very, very active at the moment in
yep,
England. You
yeah,
know, so we have a lot of past things, and
mhm,
then obviously we grew this new religion on the top of that. So we've
mhm,
got heathens, Odin, Thor, Freyja, those
mhm,
sorts of deities. We've got people that like the Egyptian
yeah,
pantheons. We've got some people that call just bog standard pagans
mhm,
that grow crops and plant
mhm,
trees and all this kind of thing. And then we've got the druids as well, and all the things connected with the druids. What they say, Stonehenge is a part of the druid thing. And
mhm.
every summer solstice, we've got a grove of druids that come in and do a ceremony, and you can
Cool.
watch it and you can take part in it too. So if you visit any of our standing stones during a
Mhm,
Sabbath, you can go and do a ritual with, the
yeah,
druids, or, you can, so you just join in.
yeah. Oh, I cannot talk. Do certain circles have different, like, rituals for different, like, Sabbaths? So, like, is
Yeah,
there, like, a
yeah,
certain you know what I'm saying, like, kinda
yeah.
thing?
We do the wheel of the year. We
Yeah.
practice the wheel of the year, and it sort of goes across all the borders because, I stand in circle with heathens, I
Mhm.
stand in circle with other witches, I stand
Yeah.
in circle with hedge witches,
Mhm.
which of course they don't have to be part of a coven or anything like that. They just use the materials that are around
Mhm.
them to do the workings.
Mhm.
And all the offshoots of all paganism, we all stand side by side here.
Mhm.
Which is very
Yeah.
nice. On each
Yeah, that's true.
tablets, we have great big collection. Big like a party, like a
Yeah,
celebration.
yeah.
But we'd have like a great big massive ritual with hundreds of people all stood in a circle, and the priest and priestess are in the middle, and we might have a
Mhm.
men's play from, the different tales of
Mhm.
Druid times. And then we'd have, cakes and wine, and we'd share it all round. And the community here is fantastic when it comes to rituals and Sabbaths and you joining with other pagans. We also have a thing called a moot. Have you heard of a moot?
I haven't. What is that?
It's called a meeting, yeah.
Mhm.
It stands for a meeting.
Mhm.
And we often have these in what the England call pubs.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
It's
yep.
drinking establishment.
Yep.
And the pagans would all congregate inside, and we talk about different things, a bit, about what's going on, different issues, different celebrations, things like that. Or we might just talk about one of the local legends,
Oh,
together with storytelling groups and things like that. So it's so we have like what we call moots.
no, I love that. See, I wish I had that. I mean, I'm sure there is, but it's not like such a part of like this area. But then
Yeah,
again, like this is very like Christian and stuff like that as well, you know? And I've also heard that there's a lot of like alien sightings over there too.
yes.
There's a
There's
lot here in Florida
there's a lot
too. Yeah.
there. There's a lot
Yeah.
like you've got Area 51.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here within I think it's 10 miles, there's Ilkley, which is the
Mhm,
main UFO hotspot for
mhm.
the UK, and that's very very near to us as well.
Okay.
So obviously you get a bit of that, a bit of lights flashing in the sky. You don't know what they
Yep.
are.
Yep.
A lot of deja vu, a lot of that kind of
Mhm,
thing. And people go on the website, and what we do is once
mhm,
we see something, we log
mhm.
it on like a forum,
Okay.
or it's sort of all around this area and all Ilkley, all around there as well. And it's very well known for its hotspots of aliens and unexplained.
That's so cool. Yeah. Well, they even say they think Atlantis is off of the coast somewhere, like down
Yeah,
south. They think the lost city of Atlantis is over there. And then, of course, we talked about like Avalon and stuff like that.
yeah,
Florida is very much a hot spot, supposedly. I've seen it, like, I've had it where there's been lights. I
yeah,
jokingly say it's because of the Church of Scientology, because their headquarters is. No, their headquarters is right down the street. I have
yeah.
bringing them up on every podcast. They're gonna be like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "I don't know anything," but
Saying anything, I'm
no, yeah, right. Nope. I respect them. I personally have never had an issue. Don't plan on it, but because of their beliefs, I'm like maybe that's why there's always so much activity
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Because there's
Well,
been time. Yeah,
sorry, energy follows thought. So if you
yeah,
think about something enough, it's going to come into thought form, isn't it?
yeah,
And you've got to
yeah, yeah,
so
and that's
yeah,
their core belief. So I believe it.
ultimately,
I've been driving home at night and there'd be like stuff that you just can't explain. When we were going through another place, when we were moving from Florida to Alaska, the
yeah.
last time we went, so this is like 2016,
Mm,
it's going to go into the Native American stuff. I saw a jackalope.
yeah,
First off, my son and I
yeah,
swear we saw like alien spaceships,
yeah,
but I saw a jackalope and I saw it on the side of the road. And you know how they say sometimes they can be a sign that something ominous is
gonna
happening?
happen.
Yeah. So I saw the jackalope on the side of the road and it looked like if you saw a spirit animal, it was very gray, glowy. And I go to my husband and I go, I just saw a jackalope. So I said it out loud, right? My cat was on our dashboard because we were driving in the middle of the night trying to get where we were going. It was pitch black. My son and I are already freaked out because we thought we were seeing alien spaceships because
Yeah, think
there's these big circles over the fields that you can't explain because where our hotel was, some
yeah,
of those fields were there. There was nothing there during the day, so that just sold us more on it being alien spaceships, like, you know what I'm saying? So I saw that jackalope. I spoke it out loud. 20 minutes later, there were antelope, caribou, one of the two,
yeah,
going across the street. My husband slammed on the brakes. I had the reaction time to grab the cat down. He stopped, and I know people can't see this because there's no video. This is how far that animal was from where the car was. And I think because
the-
that would have killed us, that would definitely have killed the cat, you
yeah,
know? Yeah, the car ended up sideways in the middle of the road because he slammed on the brakes, like, and they were all around us. didn't hit him, and I think it's because I saw the jackalope, recognized that I saw
Warning.
it. Yeah, and I was like, "I just saw a jackalope," and of course, my husband never believed any of
Yeah.
that stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
It looks
And
things
I
like
was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm glad you're driving right now because I would have hit them because I would not have reacted fast enough."
yeah.
But we just sat there and we sat there for a minute because, of course, we had to let them cross because there's a huge curb, right? Or a
Yeah.
huge herd of them. And then he just looked at me and I said, that would have killed Sego. Sego is my familiar. He's a black cat. Like, he is a
Yeah.
Norwegian forest cat. So he's truly a fairy cat. Yeah. And I was like, that would have killed Sego. I was like, I think it's because I recognized that a jackalope was there, you
Slip.
know?
Warnings.
Yeah. So after that, we're like, okay, we are just going to drive until sunset. We won't drive through night anymore out in the middle of nowhere, right? We were actually going to Yellowstone. So we were trying to get to our
Yeah.
hotel right outside of Yellowstone, right? And that place I think is magical too because of
Yeah.
all the energy from the volcano because it's a big volcano, you know?
Yeah.
So we get to where we were going. We pull in, we go to get food because they had food trucks. We walk to the food truck. That same herd comes walking right up to us. Yeah. And then we woke up the next day and the herd was there too. We stayed so close to it, we could walk to one of the gates of the park. Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we went to Yellowstone, and I had always wanted to see horned sheep, like with the big horns, you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like that was our mission. And I was like, we're gonna find them, right? But we found them on the backside of the like every time we've gone to Alaska, because we always go Alaska, Florida to Alaska, Alaska to Florida. We would always stop at Yellowstone. So yeah, yeah. We went to Mount St. Helen which was really cool because we did that when my son was little. So we got a picture. We made him stand in the exact same spot. And
Um,
like that place, you can feel Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Um, when you're in the woods there,
yeah.
you feel like something's watching you. Like I 100% believe in Bigfoot. But yeah, you can't
I
see
do.
it.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel
Although
it.
they're elementals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm a strong believer in that. I really
yeah,
do think they're elementals and things like mermaids and things like that. Elementals, fire fairies are
yeah,
elementals.
yeah.
Elves that fly about like you.
Yep,
Elf fairy.
yep, yep. I was actually talking to my ex-husband the other day. He was coming to get my son or something, and I was standing outside and I was talking to him and I saw a fairy fly by.
Yeah. Little.
And I like quit talking. Yeah. Like it was like
Yeah.
and I like there's no way it was a bug because they had legs. Like, there was no it was, like, that big. It went flying by. I quit talking to him for a second. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm not even gonna tell him." So I go inside, I go to my mom, and I'm like, "I literally saw a fairy." Like, I Googled every type of bug that it could be
Yeah.
because it was a very not natural yellow-green, and
Yeah.
I was like and it had legs. So I was like, "That's gotta be a fairy."
Gotta be
Like,
a
that's
fan. Gotta be.
yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, when we went to Mount St. Helen, going there, it felt like something was watching us. And they say that's how it feels when you get into the areas that are where Bigfoot is.
Yeah.
Like it feels like somebody's out there watching you because something is. There is something
Yes,
watching
it
you,
is.
you know?
For
Yep.
sure. Because of
Yeah.
course in Scotland we have the Loch Ness Monster as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. And if you look at witchcraft history, you'll
Mhm.
find that Aleister Crowley used
Mhm.
to have a house there, and they think it's something to do with the energies that he stirred up when he did
Maybe, yeah.
the Abramelin, which is a big ritual that he did, and he abandoned it halfway through
Yeah.
within that time. And then, of course, Jimmy Page bought the house on a
Yeah.
lot, and recently it's burned completely down to the ground.
Really?
Did you know?
Yeah. No, I did not know that.
Yep, at the
Because that
time.
ritual nev Yeah, because that ritual never got finished, so
No, it
that was
didn't
just
well,
sitting there. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's
Well,
crazy.
he's been blamed for the Loch Ness Monster as well, by the
Mhm.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. Has there been sightings lately of it? Because I heard that they haven't been seeing it.
No, I've not heard anything, and I watch a lot of the unexplained
Yeah.
things and, read different articles and things like that, and I've not heard anything.
I wonder if it was mortal and it died.
Yeah.
Like if it was truly like a trapped dinosaur
Yeah.
over something being mystical.
Mystical, yeah, yeah.
Because I have not. It's been because when I was a
Mhm.
kid, there was still sightings of it.
Yeah.
And I have not. It's been a good 20 years since I've heard of a sighting of a Loch Ness monster. Yeah, interesting. Or maybe it went into hiding or
Maybe.
yeah.
Maybe it just swam away.
Yeah, maybe. Because I kind of
But
feel like it's more mystical than, you know? But yeah, if it's completely gone, maybe it wasn't mystical. Maybe it was mortal,
we don't know, do we? We don't know.
Yeah, because nobody knows how long a dinosaur's lifespan was
So, yeah.
because they didn't die of natural causes. They died of cosmic causes. So who knows how long one dinosaur could live?
Yeah. Maybe, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's always what it looked like to me. It was one of those swimming dinosaurs, the long neck swimming
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
Platysaurus, I think it's called.
Platysaur. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah. And then there was something else. It was like a water dragon or something I saw because I watch all that stuff too.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, I'm obsessed with the UK, so I watch a lot of the stuff over there.
yeah,
And it was like a water dinosaur, or not a water dinosaur, a water dragon. And
yeah,
like there was no way this was fake because there was like 30 different things on it. You
yeah,
know, the thing that I hate now is so many people make stuff up with AI. It's
yeah,
hard
I
to
know.
it's so
Yeah,
hard to trust something,
it's
you know?
infuriating, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you think that would be really good if it was like a
yeah,
mystical thing, but it's not. It's
yeah.
AI.
It's AI, yeah. Like and it's with the AI, especially for like the hauntings and stuff like that, it's so disrespectful to people that are tortured by real hauntings,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Well,
That's
it's like Ed and Lorraine Warren, I'm starting to find
yeah,
out that they faked a lot. Like
yeah.
it was money. They were doing it
Well,
for money.
it's all coming out now, isn't it? It's all
Yeah.
levels. I mean, obviously, I've been a bit of a fan of the Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Mhm.
thing. Because obviously with me being psychic as well, you kind of
Yep.
follow the people, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest.
Me too, because how she found out she was psychic is really close to how I started. So
Yeah.
I was born a Catholic and then converted to Mormonism. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I was a child, I started seeing auras
yeah.
on the altar because it was back when girls can altar serve. I would see the lights and she saw the lights in
Mm,
Catholic school. I know my experience is real because it bugged me. I would see at first you see just white, so you just see the white
mm,
before you start seeing the colors of the aura. At least for me, I would just see the life force,
yeah, yeah,
and depending on how much life they had, either went way out or it was really
yeah,
close.
yeah.
And then as I got older, I started seeing ghosts and started. Well,
Mm,
I always sensed ghosts, but I actually started seeing them. But I didn't know that I was as sensitive as I was until I was about 25. I didn't realize that it wasn't the places I was going that were haunted. It was me that was haunted because movies make it seem like it's some grand thing, you know, and it's not. No.
Child would be absolutely
Yep.
was as a child because obviously I come from trauma. I think
Mhm.
I discussed it before. And people that were born from trauma,
Yep.
they very often see spirits. And so all through my life, I've grown up seeing spirits and I
Mhm.
didn't know what they were. And because I too was from a Catholic family and
Mhm.
they like to dismiss this, it's
Yep.
the devil, you should not talk about it. You should not do
Yep.
anything. You're seeing evil. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, no, not really. I'm just seeing spirits gone before and
Mhm.
light essence. And, you know, I go into a room and I can feel what's been in the room. I can feel emotions. I can feel, I sense things. I can smell things, and there are
Mhm.
different spirit animals that touch me with the fur,
Yep.
and I might not see them, but I sense them or, through one of the other things. So
Yep.
absolutely.
It's talking about how the Catholic Church thought, it was evil.
Yeah.
My great grandmother was extremely, like, clairvoyant. Okay.
Oh,
I actually have at some level all of my senses. I turn off my clairvoyancy because, I mean, you can never completely turn it off. So I should
no.
take that back. You can never completely turn it off, but I dull it or I'd be seeing everything all the time,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So she did not know you could do that. So she would see dead people all the time. My grandma, who's 95,
Yeah.
says she remembers growing up to every week a priest would be in her house trying to bless the house because she was thinking that the house was haunted. I think my grandma's uncle was the priest, so it wasn't like,
Yeah.
she was calling the
Yeah.
church. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a priest, which is every
Yeah.
Catholic's family dream. You want your own priest in your family, you know? But he would be over, and she says she remembers just her constantly. So one of the first spirits that came to me was my great grandmother.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And then another one was my grandpa. I grew up with my mom, my grandma, and my grandpa. Okay. So that was my family my whole life. My grandpa passed away when I was 13, turning 14. So he passed away the week before I turned 14. So
Yeah.
the year that I really started getting my senses
Yeah.
is the year that he passed away. His birthday was actually Halloween. So I'm kind of giving that because it kind of all links together. He had really bad cancer. When they told me they were getting hospice care for him 6 months before he passed away, I remember crying because I just knew he was going to die. I didn't realize I was sensing the future. The
Yeah.
day that he passed away, I was at school. He passed away at 11 o'clock. They chose not to get me. So they just let me do my school day and then come home. Because what would they do? They'd go get me
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying? At least let me go to school and then
Yeah.
come home. So I had no clue. I just knew that he was going on to 24-hour hospice
Yeah.
care that day. I get to the corner, I can see down to the street. There's no car there, but before I see there's no car, I hear as loud as I'm talking to you, Grandpa died. Okay? Yeah. So I get closer to the house and I'm a kid. So like it doesn't like ring. And I realize that while the nurse isn't there, why isn't there a nurse there? There's supposed to be a nurse there. I go into the house and I go, why isn't there a nurse there? And like my grandma was like trying to be so careful telling me. And she's like, Grandpa passed away. Like I wasn't getting it. So finally she had to be like, Grandpa died. And I was just like, and I looked at her because, see, my grandma and my mom were more open to my psychic abilities because of
Right.
my great grandmother. So
Yeah.
I go to her and I go, and I'm bawling. I'm like, I knew. Like, I told them, I was like, I was at the corner and something told me that.
Oh,
Yeah, and then it happened again when we were in Alaska the last time we lived up there. My husband or ex-husband now, got a phone call from his brother, and when he answered the phone, I heard his dad died. So I heard his name died, right? And I was like, oh no, no. And then like I hear the conversation and I just watch my husband break down, right? He hangs up the phone, he's like, my dad died. And I go, I know. And, like, he didn't even question it, but
well,
yeah, I was like because, like, he wasn't on speaker or anything like that, so I could only hear or, like, see
yeah.
that side of the question, but I already knew. So, of course, I'm sitting there, like, staring at him, being like, because I was like, "No, no. No, no. Yeah. Yeah, he passed away."
You see, when you feel it, it's more traumatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
go, oh, you're so lucky. You can commune with spirit. You're so lucky. Not really.
Mm-mm.
Not really. Not when you see those you love or situations, like I do a lot of psychometry with
Uh-huh.
buildings, and
Yep.
when you can feel all the pain and all the
Yep.
upset that's happened in that room, it can be quite destroying. It can be soul destroying,
Yep.
you know. So you have to learn to shut it off, because otherwise you'd have that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
You go like,
You'll lose your
right,
mind. Yeah.
yeah,
When my grandpa died, he kept coming back to me, and in my dreams, only he and I knew he was dead. And
mhm,
the distress I felt in those dreams was like reliving his death again. And it happened like 4 or 5 nights. Like, it was awful. So I, fell away from the Catholic Church, became a Mormon, which actually made my senses more because they believe more in the mystical stuff. So, yeah,
well, I was
yeah,
unaware.
yeah, so with the Mormon Church, because I know a lot of people think it's a cult.
Yeah, I even said it
Yeah, yeah, um
funny and shit.
So when I joined the church, I joined it because they were very community service based, right? But they very much believe in traditional families. They believe in having a lot of families. They believe in the family forever, which is probably why I was like, well, if I find the one, I have no issue being bound to them forever
Yeah,
because I spent so much time in the Mormon church that that's still a part of like my
yeah.
core.
Can I ask you a question then about how do they feel about same-sex couples?
So, okay, I'm not 100% sure this is still the thing, but I'm an ex-Mormon, so I guess I can say it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they excommunicate me. From what I understand is they will marry the opposite sex, and the church does try to, like, train it out of them. It's just in recent history that anybody that's not Caucasian skin could hold the priesthood. Okay. So with the priesthood, only a male can hold that. Okay, so the only way I was going to get to heaven was if I was married to a righteous key holder that holds the keys of yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
So what
Wow.
yeah, so yep. Yeah, so there was no way I would have my own kingdom because they believe that you we live a righteous life, right? You get married through the temple, you get bound in the temple, sealed is what they say. I should use the proper terminology. You get sealed in the temple. I would have a name that only my husband knows. So I'm like, well, how am I going to know my name? So I don't know if they tell me to, because like the husband knows his name and the wife's name. So the wife doesn't know the husband's name. And I don't know if you know her own name. I never got married in the temple, so I'm not sure how that goes. But like you go through the veils, which is like curtains, and then you receive your name to that when you come through the veil. So I don't know if they tell you it, but nobody will know that name except for your husband. So I feel like even you don't know until you die. Like you know it once you die, right? Because he'll call you through the veil by your
So your husband has to call you through the mail.
yes.
Mm,
Yeah, so from what I understand, if a wife passes away first, because we're gonna get into the controversial polygamy stuff, right?
yeah,
If the wife passes away first, she stays dead. So your soul and everything's there.
dormant.
Okay. Yeah, it's dormant. Okay. So then he passes away and he'll call you through. Yeah. So also so a woman can only be sealed once. Okay.
So is he seen as your lord and master?
Kind of. It's very traditional. How traditional you take it depends on like the head of household thing. Let's use like 1950 lifestyles, right? There's a head of household and the housewife. Basically, that's how it is. So he's your priest holder. So I guess it could be your lord and master. He's definitely your lord. Like he's your priest. He's going to get you into heaven. Most Mormon women don't work. but that's also because you have so many children that, yeah.
But what if you're barren? What if you're not able to have children?
So back in the day, which is when I first joined the church, they used to have something that helped you adopt. So you can adopt a child and be sealed to that child so that they can still come into your kingdom. I never understood the kingdom things because parents or husband and wife is sealed to themselves, right? Then your children are sealed to you. But then your children will get sealed to their spouses. But then
Oh,
every man's supposed to have their own kingdom. Okay? So every man is supposed to become a god. And by the man becoming a god, the wife becomes a wife. I don't even know if you become a goddess. Okay? But all your children are sealed to you. But if you have sons, aren't they having their own kingdom? So that I never
oh,
understood how that worked, unless it's just you can
yeah.
cross into each other's kingdom, or like it's like there's one world and each one of you have your own kingdom within it. Like I'm that
Is it a bit like Yggdrasil, where you have the different?
that's the only way it worked in my head was like you were all within the same realm. Like every family gets its own plane, so you
Yeah,
have your own kingdoms within your
within
own
the
within
thing.
that plane. Yeah, within that big thing. And then you can all, because you're all sealed to each other, you could all cross over. So there could be like a bubble. We'll just say a bubble, right? There could be a bubble of 1,000,000 people because that's all your family sealed through generations, but each man is his own god within that. Yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, so the wife can only be sealed once, but the man can be sealed multiple times. So they still believe in polygamy, just
Yeah,
not now, in the next lifetime.
right. So,
Yeah, yeah. And then there's also the option, I mean, the church has to approve it, and I always thought this was wrong, that you can get unsealed from your dead spouse. But I'm like, what
oh,
if you get unsealed from, like, somebody, right? And, like, it doesn't matter for the guy, so it'd be the woman. So you're marrying a new priesthold
oh,
holder, and he wants to be your key holder over your ex-husband. But or your deceased husband. Isn't he waiting for you? Like, the court gets caught and then he goes like I never understood that. Like, I know
it's strange to me anyway.
exactly. I don't think the church allows it much unless it was something like the husband was abusive and they don't
Yeah,
want you going to another lifetime with him. But, like, if you had a good marriage, I would not get unsealed from that person. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was real. There was a lot of really interesting things. And yes, they do believe in having a lot of children.
yeah,
They believe that, this is where I say it helps in your psychic senses. They believe that you will see every child you're supposed to have. Yeah.
right. Got
Yeah.
you. So
So
your
when
souls are tied.
yeah, you see
Yeah,
all your
yeah,
children.
right, right. I
Yeah,
get
you
it.
see all the children you're supposed to have. Now, I have a friend that held the priesthood, and he said that the men can see him too. I know for a fact the women can. So
Oh,
you get married and you see every child that is supposed to be in your family. So
wow.
I saw this little girl. I only have one kid. Okay. So when I first joined the church, I saw this little girl. So I'm like, well, does that mean that I'm going to adopt her?
Oh,
Because I don't think I'm going to be having any more biological children. Is it going to be my granddaughter? Like, maybe because I didn't have her? Because that's something that can happen too. And they also believe, like, if you get pregnant and you miscarry. So this is miscarrying at the point that the baby is going to be born. So the baby is getting a soul, right? If
right.
you miscarry the baby at that late term, that soul's not lost. It just means it could be your daughter's. It was like the wrong body, if that makes sense.
So they
Which
can be
actually,
born. It can be
yeah,
reborn.
it can't, yeah, because it was the wrong parent. Which actually, that belief I find is a really soothing belief.
Oh,
Like, I never got into that part because I left the
yeah.
church before when I was going through divorce. I got
Oh,
divorced, and the church kind of scared me
yeah, they do.
because they wanted me to get married, because they wanted to save my soul. Like, I get it, they wanted to save my soul, but they wanted me to get married, so it felt like they were playing matchmaker, so it kind of
Yeah.
scared me. So I never got to that point in it. So that's all stuff that I understand from like secondhand, them teaching me
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was really interesting that I'm like,
I found that very interesting
mhm,
because
mhm,
obviously I don't have the insight that you do.
yeah, yeah. I was just like, that's so interesting. And like I said, I understood the church. I'm probably one of those ex-Mormons that isn't really against the church, but
Yeah.
also you don't always see people leaving the Mormon church and going into something else very spiritual. It's like they leave the church and either go into another religion that's just as fundamentalist, because that's
Yeah.
what Mormonism is, very fundamentalist. It's very
Right.
harsh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's that way
Um
or no way kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, you can't drink alcohol, you
Yeah.
can't drink hard drinks, you can't have sex before marriage, like, you have to go on a mission, like, it's
Yeah.
very the book is the book is the book, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's very much you can't show too much skin, you have to be very modest, you know? So, a lot of people will leave the Mormon church and either not have religion at all or go into another fundamentalist religion. Some people leave the Mormon church and then you guys have Sister Wives there, right? The TV show Sister Wives? Okay. Well, there's if you ever get a chance, look up on I think it's like either Discovery Plus app or HBO app under TLC. Look up Sister Wives. They're a fundamentalist, so they're even more of a fundamentalist Mormon church, which believes in having pearl wives now, which is illegal, but
Right.
so people either do that, they'll go to another really strict religion or they'll have no religion at all. It's very rarely do you see somebody go from that type of religion into like what we do.
Right.
But I feel like that stepping stones helped me so much with it being
Yeah.
here,
Well,
you
you
know?
took from that some good things, some
Yeah.
fundamental ideas that
Yeah.
can be passed over into your journey. And pagan is, are you pagan? Are you Wiccan? Are you German?
Pagan. I call myself pagan.
You
Yeah. Yeah. I never studied Wicca like at all.
Yeah.
Like I said, again, very hard to like do anything here. So I kind of just I guess if anything, I would call myself Hellenistic because I very much believe in the Greek gods and goddesses. So, like, if I had to give myself that, I would be that, or like a green witch kind of thing, you know?
All right. Cool.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway, my
Hey,
lovely, I'm gonna have to shoot off. It's 11:30 at night.
yeah, definitely. I was just gonna say, I just looked at the time. It's been an hour and a half,
Yeah.
so it was lovely talking to you
Lovely to meet you.
and meet you
I
as
love
well.
to everybody.
Definitely. And you're always welcome to come back on too.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
I wish you all the best and enjoy
Bye.
England. Bye
Bye. See
bye.
you later. An amazing time with the lovely Freyja. Please make sure you join her art expedition. Also, make sure to check out all of her social media accounts I have linked. Until next time, stay safe and keep being you.